I've seen a lot of videos in the community about how to prep for sessions. Um, um, they generally go along the theme of when the GM started. For the first sessions, they prepared loads and loads, and gradually, as they got more and more experienced, they prepared less and less. And their sort of Bible for this seems to be the lazy GM, who teaches about efficient prep, how to prepare efficiently and devote the least amount of time for what you need to respond to your players. In contrast to that, I've just watched a video by Jeffrey McCarthy called "Do Not Prepare Encounters, Create a World. Instead, create a world." I think that was the title, and he argues that. Well, he basically described a complicated ecosystem between three peoples, a sort of civilization, a drug-using civilization, a goblin society, and Xiaogan, the humanoid underwater slavers, and how they interacted with sheep dung, pearls, and a drug. And his players, he developed a really intricate economic ecosystem between these three cultures, and but his players, they got hints and clues about it. They never really investigated it. And in the classic, or in the sort of lazy GM way of thinking, this would be wasted time. It would be a failed prep. But Jeffrey McCarthy, who's been playing since the white box, since the very dawn of role-playing games, clearly had enjoyed it and had no regrets. And we are basically here to enjoy ourselves. This is a hobby to enjoy ourselves. Jeffrey McCarthy clearly enjoyed himself creating this ecosystem, or world as he calls it, and has no regrets. And fair enough. I think a lot of the enjoyment of the game is actually designing, planning, thinking about potentials, even if they never get taken up. Whether you're a player or a GM, a lot of your time is spent planning, thinking about possibilities. Most of the time, they may never come into use, but it's not wasted time if you're enjoying it. Where I do disagree with Jeffrey McCarthy is the title, basically. He says, "Do not prepare encounters." The world is in the GM's head. The way that world is communicated to players is through encounters. So I think encounters are important to think about. The first impression creates the first encounter creates the first impression, is the strongest impression they'll get. So you need to think about how you will get this across. You can design it, and if you have time to design it, and then I recommend a video by Red Dice Diaries, John Allen Large, who describes, basically, he wanted to create a Star Wars game which reflected his experience and feeling from the Star Wars movies, the ones that he first saw. And he analyzed what were the essential elements in Star Wars for him, and then tried to include them in I think 3 encounters in his first session. And I thought that was a very interesting and good way to design, to prep for a session. Basically, figure out what's important and how you want to get it across. And that's what I do for my prep sessions. But a lot of the time, another sort of theme that's going around in the community is Ivan Mike produced a video about going off the rails. Player characters often go off the rails and veer off from what you've prepared, whether it's in a module or whether you're just GMing yourself. there are times when they'll get to an area that you haven't considered. It doesn't matter how good an experienced GM you are, with an entire multiverse out there and the teleport spell and plane shifts, you can't have created billions upon billions upon billions of ecosystems. So every now and then, the party is going to go into a place where you haven't prepared. And what do you do then? I'd still follow John Allen Large, Red Dice Diaries tactic of planning what's the most important feature of this place, what's the most noticeable feature anyway, introduce the players to that, then figure out attention. This is a basic storytelling technique. Create a scene. Figure out what are the elements of the scene and the atmosphere of the scene. Create the scene with whatever element is dominant in this area that they visited, and then add in a complication. Each drama comes from conflict, so create a tension, a conflict in this place that they're visiting, and draw your PCs into that conflict. Not necessarily. Give them the option, or let them see what the conflict is, and one side or the other will approach them first and either assume they're the enemy or try to recruit them to their side. And it's up to the PCs to react to that. They may not get involved, but you should create every situation. Unless you want to create a really boring place, create some tension. So this is my reaction to a couple of themes that are going around in the community at the moment. My name's Caius. I love role-playing games, and I hope to see you in one in the future.